Kia ora, hello, I'm Philip Duncan. Thanks for joining us for our weekend weather update and our 7-day rainfall outlook across New Zealand, recorded on Friday the 13th. And we've got some good weather tonight for staying at home and watching horror movies. We've got a cold change moving up the South Island and into the North Island as we go through the weekend. It's kind of a slow process, but once we get to the start of next week, a proper wintry change is moving into the country, but in true spring style, it's gone by Wednesday. Let's have a look and see what's going on. We've got low pressure stuck here around the South Island. That is moving northwards, and by the time we get to 6 p.m. Saturday, there'll be low pressure up here around the top of New Zealand. This is bringing some rain and some snow into the South Island. Subtropical airflows, or mild for this time of the year anyway, wind flows around the North Island. You still might have the heat pumps on or the heater on or the fire burning, but it's warmer than average for many parts of the North Island across Friday. So let's have a look at what is going on with the snow and the rain. We've got heavy rain on the west coast, and the white shading here shows snow around parts of Otago in particular. Now, as we go through Friday, this will start to move northward. So let's animate this now for you. You can see it moving north. The snow falls apart, the rain falls apart, but now by the time we get to Saturday morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, now that rain is around the North Island. So Saturday lunchtime looks like this. Low pressure just off the coast of Northland. It's pretty weak. The warmer or milder subtropical northerly flow still around some parts of the North Island, but the southerly change now starting to move into the lower part of the island. Around the South Island, winds are variable. You could have a northeasterly, northerly, southerly, depends on where you are, what time of the day it is. Not a lot of activity, might still be a few snow flurries, but it won't be very much along the mountains there. So temperatures on Saturday. Once again, this is not a main centre temperature map. We've got all of your local temperatures hourly on our website and app. This is just to give you a quick glance to see if there's anything kind of big happening nationwide. And what you see is the warmer northerly flow is certainly still around the top of the country. But once you get to about, let's say, Lake Taupo southwards, you see those temperatures are down. And around the lower part of the South Island, not actually too bad on Saturday. Single digit highs though, but not too brutal. It's the colder changes coming through mostly as we go through Monday and Tuesday, as you'll see in a moment. So Sunday looks like this, that low pressure zone meandering over the North Island across Saturday and Sunday. The timing of it makes all the difference, because the high that's holding it up out here to the east might hold it up even more. And that means wet weather on Sunday could linger in some areas. But at this stage, most of it's moving away. And this is just sort of drizzly, showery stuff or patchy kind of light rain. Now at the other end of the country, different story. We've got a colder change coming through. Snow flurries will start to develop and lower their elevation as we go through the day, but not a lot happening in central New Zealand. Fairly dry and not a lot of wind around on Sunday. So snowfall, let's have a look at the next 72 hours. This is from 8 o'clock Friday morning through to 8 o'clock on Monday morning. This does not capture the big change coming through on Monday and Tuesday, but it does still show you over the weekend heavy snow through the Southern Alps, mostly up here, and the pale blue you see, lighter snow flurries, but possibly still could get, just like a heavy shower, you can get a heavy snow flurry as well. But that is the map at this stage. Around Gore, Dunedin, you're seeing some snow on the hills there. But like I say, it's Monday and Tuesday that we see the true part of this wintry change. And this is it here at lunchtime Monday. So that cold front moving into the North Island as we go through the day. There are two sets of airflow moving into the country. We've got one that's coming out from south of this high around Australia. That is coming up for the very top of the country. And then we've got this more Antarctic portion of it coming through for the South Island and the lower half of the North Island, which means snow, possibly heavy, could be coming into Central Plateau as well, and some of the mountains around the North Island. But Monday is a cold day in the South Island, very low wind chill. So newborn livestock, just be aware of that. This brutal cold wind will be around Sunday, Monday and Tuesday over the South Island. Let's go to the temperature maps now. Departure from normal. In other words, how much warmer or cooler is it compared to usual for this time of the year? Blue, colder than usual. And you can see here on Monday, that spreads further around the North Island. But there are still parts of the country that aren't too bad because the mountains and ranges change things. But some of these areas here on Monday in the darker blue shading, 5-10 degrees lower than it normally is at this time of the year. Lunchtime Tuesday, now it's the North Island's turn to really get the cold stuff, but we may still see a few snow flurries around places like Otago and Canterbury to very low levels, maybe sea level. It's borderline. And around the North Island could be some heavier snowfalls around the Central Plateau, obviously along the mountains and ranges, and even up to the top of the country. You'll feel that colder air coming in on Tuesday, but you can already see the westerlies are coming through. And this is why weather forecasters often think September is spring weather, because you get these westerlies coming along, and so by the time we get to Wednesday, that colder air will be changing and being pushed out to sea, and the South Island starts to get a westerly flow coming in. In fact, the North Island does as well. So by Thursday, northwesterlies are now coming back in again. Temperatures go back up even further on Thursday across New Zealand. Rain comes back into the west coast, rain and showers for the western side of the country, gale force winds around Wellington, and it's all around these stormy lows in the Southern Ocean. Now, this time of the year, very normal to get big low pressure zones like this down here and really powerful highs as well. And that's one of the reasons why we have such windy weather around spring. But these big lows are the reason why we're seeing a higher than usual risk this spring, this September, this October, of getting snowstorms and frost events because of these big storms down here. Normally, we have high pressure around and that kind of limits it. And let me give you an example of that here on Friday. These big lows, these big storms down here, they kind of stay south when you've got a high pressure zone up here like this one, or another one out over here over the Indian Ocean, kind of keeps them down. Here on Friday, because we don't have a lot of high pressure around New Zealand, it's out here to the northeast, that allows these windy conditions to move up and across the country and bring a cold front, which you see there. So wintry weather again on Friday for the lower part of the South Island, snow along the Southern Alps as well, and around the top of the country, windy, showery, spring-like weather. Here's the next 7 days rainfall. To make sense of everything, you can see the heaviest totals over here on the west coast, 150, 200 millimetres, maybe even 300 here and there on the very tops of the mountains. 100 millimetres or so, roughly, generally speaking, for the western side of the North Island in that purple shading. And for those of you along the eastern side, kind of needing some rain in some areas, not overly huge rainfall, but for some areas of Canterbury, you could be seeing 20 or 30 millimetres of rain. But around Hawke's Bay, it may be lower, only 10 or 15 in some cases. And if you live in Southland, you're hoping for some dry weather. You just might have to wait a little bit longer, sorry. But in spring style, like I say, it's not going to be raining every single day. Those westerlies do kick back in again as we go through next week. So there we go. A lot to talk about this weekend. That low pressure zone around Saturday and Sunday is a little bit hard to lock in. Keep up to date with our forecasts. They update every hour, and that will take into account if anything is starting to change with the rain, which may linger longer in some spots or clear up earlier in other places. And of course, we'll be updating you over the weekend on that snow potential. So please do keep up to date with our news feed in our free app or at weatherwatch.co.nz. Have a good weekend, stay safe, stay warm, and we'll see you again on Monday.